What's going on, guys? We are back. It is our second episode of the week. I think what we're trying to do, we're trying to make up for next month. That's what we're really doing.
Oh yeah, dude. We're both gonna be gone, so
Yeah,
let's
we
stack them in while we can.
we're shoving them in, just packing them in, just
Just
as
keep
much as we can
breaking through our ceilings.
through the ceiling, through that ceiling. But guys, we are back. It is Wednesday, 7:30 ish. We're actually closer today. Yes, we're closer today than we have been in a while. So, guys, we have great guests on tonight. We're really excited about this show. I've been talking about this show for a couple weeks now. Two great people who I met on Comic Book Day. They were gracious enough to have invite us over there. I was the only one that was able to make it. But before we get to them, because we want to get to them, we want to talk about David. Where can you find us?
I mean, it's on the bottom now with no more ticker. Now that
Nope.
we've upgraded our backgrounds, but
No,
we are
it's-
TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, the geeksaga20@gmail.com. Is Twitch on there? Twitch is on there. But the Geek Saga on every handle except for YouTube, that will be the Geek Saga 77. But if you're watching us on YouTube, you've already found us. So
Yeah.
good job.
Which last week, YouTube actually was having issues, and I was not too happy about it. I was like, holy crap, I don't know if we were going to make it on with JC. Actually, no, it was just Monday that there was issues on it. So
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Facebook has now dropped a lot of people that were streaming on StreamYard over some of the dumb dude. They said unless you have 100 viewers, like viewers right now, and some other criteria, like dumb criteria, that's the only way you're going to start streaming on there. I was like, whatever. We'll get back to them.
TikTok does the same thing. You have to have like a 1,000 views on one thing before it even unlock the opportunity to go live. So
ridiculous. We're fine with Twitch. We're fine with Instagram. We're fine with YouTube. So we'll stick with those and whatever. But anyways, guys, let's also talk about our other affiliates and a partner that we now have. Let's start off with Ulanzi. Ulanzi, what's going on? Love it. Use it. The light that is actually in front of me, which is my ring light that I have here, a lot of the lights that I use at home are all Ulanzi. The cage that's around my camera is a Ulanzi cage. Also, on top of that, they've got stands, they've got tripods, they got all kinds of crazy stuff. If you go onto our link tree on our bio, you can click on that. It's an affiliate code. It'll send it over to them. You buy from them. It helps us out. So please buy their stuff. I don't care if you're not a YouTuber or if you're not I almost use the word vlog. Vlogging is actually out. I was like, what? I thought this is what we're doing.
It's not ancient.
But this is what we're doing, isn't it?
Welcome to our radio show.
Let me go get the sound effects. Some celery. I'm gonna crunch that up and make the sound.
Gray goes next. Yeah. He follows us at 8:30 ish.
But Ulanzi is a place to go to get that stuff. Next, we got Renegade Game Studios, guys. They've got a lot of great IPs. They've got G.I. Joe, Transformers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, My Little Pony, and then they also have their own. They've got deck building games and they've got RPGs. So if you're looking for that kind of stuff, go to them for it. Again, the link is in our affiliate, or the link is in our link tree for an affiliate. Sends you over there. You buy from them, get some great games, and it'll help us out and everything else. So, dude, the art in this is actually really cool. I've showed you the stuff. It's really
you know
cool.
Me, man. I'm a freaking huge art nerd. And yeah, I can't. All of them, IPs, G.I. Joe, the Transformers. The Transformer one that you have is that same one right there. Dude, that art's amazing. It looks like it's straight out of IDW.
I love the artwork. So it's actually really cool stuff. So check them out. Next, we've got our newest, and it's actually a partner, Randy. If you're listening, if you're watching, this is for you, buddy. So I actually tried the Kickin' Kraken, or the Blizzard Mojito. The wrong one. The Kickin' Mango is the next one I'm going to try. But this one is the one that I tried, and let's just say when he said So you got to beware of the sensory reset. When you drink this, it's gonna really hit you. I was all like, all right, cool, all right, and he kept telling me, no, when you drink, especially the mojito one, it's gonna be like cold, and it's gonna reset. I said, all right, cool, cool. Drank it today. No joke, Holmes.
I
No
actually have
joke.
mine right here.
Oh,
I'm about to crack it and try it while we're
oh,
live.
dude, do it. Do it while while I tell everybody else about this stuff. So
Keep
it's got
going.
intense flavor. It's great for focus. It's got legendary focus. It's got a lot of great stuff to it. It's a 1.93 ounce bottle. Uh,
I should
they
probably
are
shake it.
yeah. Shake it vigorously. Shake it. There you go. There you go. Yeah, like it. All right. Well, but while he does that, I'm gonna open up my Nectar of the Gods. Need to get that open. But check them out, guys. They're one of our newest. Use code GeekSaga77. It'll get you. Oh man, here we go, dude. You're supposed to drink it half and hold it in your mouth. Okay, hold it. 5 seconds. Swallow. What is it? Which one's it? Is it the mango?
The Kick and Mango Peach.
Yeah.
This is freaking amazing.
All right.
Like no lie, it tastes like Mexican candy, like the little the gummy rings that you get.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, man. That is really good. It's got a really intense mango front flavor.
Okay.
The peach kind of lingers while you're holding it in your mouth,
Uh-huh.
and then the mango like tamarindo chili burn is on the back end. It's really good, dude. That's freaking amazing.
There we go, guys. On air with David. He's tried it, and now it's going to kick him in. It's going to heat up. You feel that heat, huh? A little bit? It's
I feel a little bit of the heat. I
Yeah.
can feel the chili. Like you can taste the chili in the back of. It's
Yeah.
not hot. It's like it's pleasant, like Mexican candy.
Yeah, and that's what he says, is that it's supposed to, unlike what I did with this, and just pass. I was like, this is supposed to be kind of a warm sensation, and it's another way to reset your senses and everything, and then it starts to kick in within 15 minutes. David will start to get focused, so he's going to start seeing everything slow down.
I'm gonna be like freaking 21 Jump Street. Remember when they popped the drugs?
His eyeballs going. He will be on the floor soon. Just what a great way to talk about our partner.
It's actually really good, man. I really enjoyed that flavor.
Like I said, this thing kicked me in the head, but it was good stuff. It is good, and it actually did what it says it does. Because normally I'm all over the place, and this all of a sudden just went, and I was like, all right, I got to get ready for tonight's show. And I was
About halfway through the show, I'm gonna be in all the chats and still having full conversations with you. Watch.
So there you go, guys. Check them out. Their link is also in our bio, and that'll do it for. Oh wait, sorry. Oh my God, I almost blew it. Movo is the microphone that you hear right now, which I haven't had a chance to really touch up the sound. But this microphone that I'm using, which you can't see, is one of their microphones that we're now using, along with the microphones that I have at home, which I used on Wednesday or on Monday, and the camera I also use. So they're our newest affiliate. Linktree again, affiliate code. It's the number 4 spot. I have that microphone that's right there on the. I guess if you're looking at it, you're right. But they also have a lot of other great things like stuff for, and they have a section for vlogging. They still use that word, and people tell me no, they don't. I was like, whatever. So, anyways, there you go. Now I could say that's it. That is those. But we also want to shout out, of course, several other people that we don't have little banners up yet. But when we switch over to our new and improved stream, which it's coming, guys, it is coming. We're gonna have a lot of cool banners and all kinds of alerts and everything else that I'm definitely gonna need some cracking to be able to focus on everything while still talking to you guys. But we want to give a big shout out to, of course, the 2 comic book stores that I do frequent, which would be We Can Be Heroes, which is out in Chatsworth, and Golden Apple, which is off of Melrose in Hollywood. 2 stores that I go to quite a bit now, and since I've been getting back into comic books, and I know like our guests are gonna be like, I haven't seen them in a while. I know I'm a little poor right now, I've been spending too much money on comic books, so now I got to replenish my money.
And Movo.
Huh?
And Movo.
Oh, and Movo. Yeah. Been spending my money in a lot of places, unfortunately. But I will be getting back in there because there's a lot of comics that I need to pick up. So big shout out to both with Julio and Donald out there at We Can Be Heroes and Ryan and Kendra down here at Golden Apple. You guys, I love your stores and I love everybody that's there. So want to give a big shout out. And also to infiniteabilities.com, which is a new comic book store online right now. And they're hoping to get a brick and mortar. But the store actually employs special needs children, or not children, but adults, to work in the store. So it's a really cool place to check out. So go onto their website, check out Infinite Abilities. They're also Infinite Abilities on Instagram, and you can see whenever they have new comics up. So there you go. There you go. And David, tell me about Project Wish Upon a Star, because I need to drink something.
Hey, man, don't steal my freaking thunder. All right. Anyways, big shout out to Darren and Veronica with Project Wish Upon a Star. And Tim, they do a nonprofit up in they are out of the Fresno area, but they're always down at the Los Angeles Comic Con. And they do the con life or the experience that the kids wouldn't get otherwise. They bring it to them or bring those kids to the thing. They call them heroes. It's freaking amazing. They actually commissioned Eugene to make a full-on Batman like cosplay outfit, and unfortunately the hero didn't get to show up to wear it, but we did send it home to them and they got to wear it, hopefully play around with it at the house. So big shout out to them. They do a lot. Hit our Instagram, go to the link tree, find their place to donate to them. Everything comes out of their pocket. So if you guys can help them out in any way, it would be a huge help for the heroes who would otherwise not get that experience. So Project Wish Upon a Star, check them out.
Yep. And like I've always said, Darren has a huge heart. Love the guy. So definitely want to help them out. But now, finally, after all that is said and done, after we go through that whole spiel and all the stuff that we always talk about, guys, we want to bring in our guests tonight. And it's going to be a lot of fun to have them on and talk to them and get to know the history of where their shop, which is awesome. But let's bring them in the fashion that we always bring people in, which is Mr. Robinson. Who's coming?
Who could that be? Let's see. This is how you answer a door in
Geek Saga.
Who is it? Come on!
What's going on, guys? Hey, how's it going?
Hello, world.
Welcome. How are you guys doing?
Our home office. Hello, world. It feels like a global pandemic again. We're on a video call doing interviews.
Zoom meetings all over again.
Oh yeah, but you know what? It's a great way to actually bring people to like get to know you who normally wouldn't be able to get to know you. You know, that's what I love about this. But
absolutely, we're thank you for having us on. I mean, our superhero origin story is interesting. We met at what we call the Tornado Con, which was with
you. We met you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we met Eugene doing his thing.
Oh, and David was there too.
And David at the Chatsworth Block Fest. You were positioned across from us, and then now here we are. We've gone through Free Comic Book Day together. We have a lot of mutual friends, as I've seen, on your podcast. And I can't believe it took this long for us to meet and even start working together.
Seriously, the funny thing is that like I still have a picture of my daughter in a stroller that I took of us going into Golden Apple when she was still a baby, and then I took a picture of her over at Pink's having her first Pink's hot dog. Not really, but it had her holding the bag. So I've been going to Golden Apple for quite a few years. So it's just funny that how small this world is to now where we're doing this, and I finally got to actually meet you in person and talk to you. And I think I remember seeing you in the shop every so often. So
Well, the comic industry is kind of small. Like it's such a huge industry, like global.
Yeah.
But at its core, it's really small. We'll go to industry meetings, whether that's at Comic-Con or some other meetings, and we'll sit in a room with the heads of Marvel and DC and all the distributors and every publisher and creators. I mean, we're a small, tight group, actually.
It's crazy how, I mean, honestly, how small this is, because we just had, like I had said, JC, which was on Monday, and he's like, "Oh, who are you having from Golden Apple?" I was like, "I was having Ryan and Kendra." He's like, "Oh man, I know them for years and everything." And then it's just like the stories that he had also of all the people he knew on top of that. I was just like, holy crap, this is literally a small world that we are in this, our little subculture that we have. It's nuts.
Yeah. It's amazing. And we're just happy to be able to continue. Unfortunately, with all the other stores have gone out of business in the area and around the world, it's just the pandemic did, knock us for a loop. But it also changed the way we do business. A lot of people do these live sales, especially like Julio and We Can Be Heroes. Those guys are pushing really hard on live claim sales and whatnot, and everybody else is kind of getting, on their phones or on their laptops and reaching customers, that they've never reached before. And it kind of taught us, new ways of thinking outside the box. And so I'm all for it. But I like having a brick and mortar. It's really nice. I like to be able to talk to the customers and establish relationships. And that's something Kendra and I, really pride ourselves in is knowing our customers. We have everybody on first name basis, especially for subscription pulls and in our point of sale system and stuff. So it's a really a big deal to have like a small family business.
Which, I mean, geez, you guys have been around since I've told people before, is that there's two awesome things that happened, and I'm like right in the middle of them. And that was 1977, Star Wars came out. And 1979, Golden Apple opened their doors. I was born right in the middle. And I was like,
oh, wow.
That's a great little 3 years there, So, shoot.
Yeah, 1979.
I think the middle year. The middle year was a little let down, but.
Yeah, my father, Bill, was a big-time accountant, CPA. And he gave it all up to open like a little 400-square-foot comic and record store. Let's not forget, Golden Apple started half records and half comic books, because those are my dad's big passions. And comic books kind of won out in the end as far as retailing goes.
That's crazy. To hear that he gave up a seat, and back in the 70s, I mean, to say I'm a CPA and I'm an accountant was kind of a big thing.
Suit and tie at work. He was vice president of one of the biggest companies, at the time in Los Angeles. Had a crazy office at the top floor with a view of the city. I mean, like the whole nine. And he just said, "Nope, I'm done with the suit and tie. I'm going to open a little comic book store." My mom was going to kill him. Here we are 45 years later. This is our 45th year in business. We're going to do a big celebration in a few months. And it's pretty crazy to think that it's been going this long. And Kendra's been at my side for 20 of those years running the shop as well.
That's awesome. So how did you guys meet? I mean, since you guys have been together for 20 years. Yeah, no, not us.
No, I didn't know comics at all. Didn't know if they really, I knew they existed and everything. And the only thing I knew about comics was the 501 commercial, the Levi's 501 commercial with
Rob
Liefeld. Literally, that's all I know.
The button fly or whatever.
So both Ryan and I went up to Santa Barbara for college, and we met up there at a party.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's not that exciting, but that's it.
She came to my kegger bro. And we hit it off, and the rest is history. We've been married 23 years just last week.
But we've known each other for 30.
Wow.
long time.
And we have an 18-year-old daughter, and it's amazing. And here we are. We're running Golden Apple. We also have an online business as well, where we, again, the pandemic kind of set everything up for that. The online sales just skyrocketed originally, immediately. And we ended up renting a huge warehouse in LA that is still fully staffed and running. That's kind of a separate business. It's like a sister business, but you can order stuff on our website and you can pick it up in store, or you can get it shipped to you or whatever.
That's crazy. So on top of what everybody thinks that you guys have the smaller store, you guys actually have a huge warehouse along with you.
15,000 square feet. Ceiling's like 100 feet high. It's a giant warehouse. It's a big operation. We don't tell anybody where it is, because we don't want anyone going over there. But it's hidden, tucked away in Los Angeles somewhere, and it's a huge operation and undertaking, and we have good partners for that. We're focused on not only our brick and mortar retail store, but also our foundation, which Kendra and I started a few years back, which, definitely something we want to talk about at some point.
No, yeah, I was going to actually mention that too, was the fact that you guys have the store, and now hearing about your bat cave that you have with all the comics in it somewhere. You have your foundation.
Well, it can't be the bat cave. It's all Marvel behind me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Your I guess Stark Tower.
Stark Tower, yeah.
There you go.
Stark compound, because that's what they had in the end, was a compound. So you have your compound.
Well,
but you guys
have a little geekness. We have a little geekness in our place. Maybe not as much as David's got behind him. I don't have a collector obsession. Everything I own is in my store, and I buy it. We sell it, and I get new stuff every day.
Now, everything behind me is over the years of being a kid. I haven't collected since being an adult. I think the only thing I bought was this Optimus Prime. That's right. Damn it!
It's behind your
here.
Head.
Yeah.
There it is.
I was 18 when I bought that, and that probably was the last big purchase I made for myself. He's the 30th or 20th anniversary die-cast metal Optimus Prime. I just happened to see him and I bought him.
Gene's hiding his geekness.
Well, no, unfortunately, I'm actually on the base right now. I have to work today, so that's why all you see is this lame banner behind me.
No geekness at the base. I get it.
Yeah, I wish I could have a full setup the way I have at home, but at home you see probably about a third of what I actually have as far as my collections behind me. Inside the house, it's like all over the place. It's exploded, and my wife.
Most of our customers, yes, I'm familiar with what your place might look like. Yeah,
but it's orderly and it's nice. It's neat.
She won't let me do that, so we just put away like a box of cool stuff.
Oh,
I was like, so what are we doing with this box? She's like, it's gonna go in this cabinet, and I was like,
you can visit it.
Okay. Sure.
We just bought a house, and I was telling my wife, so what room can I decorate with all my stuff? She was like, well, the cool thing is we have an attic. And I was like, I'm tiny. I got to climb up the attic. But you know what? It's untouched. No one else will go up there. No one will mess with my stuff. And it's like a whole room pretty much that I can just do what I want with. So
that's good. It's your happy place.
Yeah, it'll be my own little Death Star away from everybody
until it gets to be 115 degrees.
Yeah. I'm not looking forward to that.
Really, really good insulation. You'll be fine.
So yeah, just getting back to the store, I only gave you like a little bit, but we started this little 400 square foot shop in 79. And then a few years later, about 5 years later, we moved down the street to what most people refer to as, I remember the original Golden Apple near Fairfax High School, like the one on Melrose. Yep. Every day someone comes and goes, I remember when you used to be on Melrose. I know what they mean after hearing it 3 million times, but we're still on Melrose, folks. We're on Melrose and La Brea currently. And there was also a time when we had multiple shops. I mean, one of our biggest shops was Northridge, California, on Reseda and Nordoff, right near CSUN, where Kendra and I finished our studies when we moved back from Santa Barbara. And we also opened it because my dad wanted a shop that Jack Kirby would come into, and Jack Kirby lived out there.
Oh, nice.
I shouldn't say there because we're close to Northridge. He lived around here, and there were no comic book shops. And my dad, being a smart ass, was like, I'm going to open a shop so Jack Kirby can come in and get his comics and do events. And he did tons of events, would come in all the time. I mean, just think about that. I mean, our store, our main store, Melrose, which my dad always called like the mega store, we had Stan Lee come in a lot, and, you know, obviously a lot of celebrities and comic book creators. But our Northridge store, like Jack, the King, was there. So that's pretty damn cool.
That's crazy.
I've never heard that story, by the way. I've never heard that.
Yeah, he lived nearby in near Northridge, and my dad was like, I'm gonna put a shop out there, so he's got a place to come, like a little like a bullpen, or not a bullpen, but more like a clubhouse. That's the word for it.
How long was that store open for?
25 years in our ownership. And then we sold it to Earth 2 Comics. It was about 10 or 11 years ago. And they unfortunately closed that shop a year and a half ago or so. Maybe longer.
No, not. I mean,
the Northridge location. No, the Northridge location closed.
Oh, I guess it was a year and a half.
Then recently, literally like a few weeks ago, or they're going to close up their Sherman Oaks store, unfortunately.
You're getting
I'm getting. Ryan, tell us the special guest and artist the store has had, and is there photos of the years back? So where does that come from? Whose question is that from?
This is
Project Wish Upon a Star, which you were talking about. Project Wish Upon a Star. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of legendary. I kind of touched base just now about having like Stan Lee and Jack Kirby literally coming in. I mean, basically any comic creator you can name has been through, the store for the most part, except for one person in particular, and that's not because we didn't want him, but Alan Moore. Just we could never get him when he was kind of coming back and forth to the States and going to Comic-Con. And then when he blew up after Watchmen, we actually had the Golden Apple Awards, if you can believe that. We did like our own Academy Awards kind of pre-Eisner thing. We gave out our own. It was an apple, like a gold apple. And to this day, it's behind the counter at Golden Apple, right? Right behind the front register, you'll see a bunch of awards and things. And there's this Golden Apple Award to Alan Moore as best writer from 1985 or whatever it was, and he vowed to never come to the United States ever again after one horrible Comic-Con incident, and the rest is history. So that's the only person who really hasn't come in. But I mean, if you name it, they've been in. As far as for comic book creators, so the Neil Adams of the world, and everybody else. But if you want to talk about like celebrities, you can look at our Instagram from recent days, because you're asking about photos. One of these days, we are going to archive our photos. My father was more of a scrapbooker.
Okay.
And we have the most legendary photos. I've talked to people about making a documentary about it. I've talked to people about setting up like a separate Instagram or website for this, or making a book, like a nice hardcover book. Because it really is like
it's history.
It's the LA comic history of the world, the West Coast, comic scene, basically. And it's everybody you would think, and more. And there's a lot of people that sort of got their start by having a signing at Golden Apple. It's kind of crazy to see some careers that have taken off. Both people that have just come through for a local indie signing, or their first ever work for one of the big publishers, unknown people at the time who now became big. And then, it's just been amazing to see people come through there. And then, of course, we also get like Keanu Reeves shops in our store, and we had a Berserker surprise signing with him for the final issue. Nice. So, it would take me a long time to answer that question, but basically, if you ask me, have they been there? My answer most likely will be yes. And because it is 45 years, we're the shop that, all the Hollywood people, the celebrities, and the comic book creators want to come through when they come through LA, especially back in the day before Comic-Con and San Diego had an international airport. Mm-hmm. You had to come to LA to get to San Diego, because I've been going to Comic-Con since I was a little kid. And up until, I don't know, 20, 25 years ago, they didn't have an airport really down there that you could fly into, or mass transit. So they have to come to LA. And so my dad always had an after San Diego Con party on Monday after San Diego at the store. And it was just the who's who of comics. It was pretty legendary. And again, yes, I have photos. I share them from time to time, but I don't have anything, like a photo archive you can go look at. I think that was a long-winded answer. Sorry.
Well, no, it's actually a great answer, because the thing is that you guys have outlasted so many other comic book stores and continue. Like the last time I went into your shop, a couple weeks ago when I went into your shop, you guys were busy, and this was like right when you guys opened, middle of the week, and it was just like there was people in there, and it was like those people left, and then all of a sudden more people came in. I was just like, man, I've gone to other shops where it's like, maybe 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday, and it was just like I was the only one in the shop.
But we've always been like a destination store.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with, the history and like the celebrity factor and the comic book creators that come in all the time. Some announced, some unannounced. A lot of times I don't even know who's going to walk in the door. And it just happens, and we take photos and we post it on Instagram or whatever we do. But it's also location, right? Yep. So we're kind of in the middle of Hollywood, technically Los Angeles, but we're on Melrose and La Brea, across from Pink's Hot Dogs, who's been there for over 80 years. It's just a hotbed for traffic. We have the double-decker red, Starline Tours bus that stops in front of our store every 30 minutes. That doesn't hurt. Nice. Because it's Hollywood. Yeah. Also, the studios and the producers and writers, directors, actors all come in because they're, if you've noticed, they've done a lot of adaptations of comic books into movies and television in the last 20 years.
Just a few.
Just a few. A lot of them come into our store to research, whether it's a set dresser or an actor trying to get a part. I mean, famously, I'll give you a couple stories. One would be like Jack Quaid, who came in this week, actually.
Oh, my gosh.
He's the lead in The Boys, who's season 4 is on Amazon Prime right now. Go watch it. He came in, he was kind of unknown at that point. He looks a lot like his dad, and I knew who he was, but it wasn't like he's a big deal at that time. And he asked about The Boys. Had I ever heard of it? I said, have I heard of it? I know the co-creator and artist really well, Derek Robertson. I literally called Derek on the phone and said, hey, Jack Quaid's going out for Huey. Give him some tips, or at least say hi to him. And he did, and he got the role. And every interview, he thanks me.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool. And he was just in this week. He's also the voice of Superman. They just put a Superman animated comic out recently, and he signed those for us. They're on our racks. So things like that just happen. But I would say the most famous would be Samuel L. Jackson, who's been a customer of ours for about 30 years.
Oh, wow.
Sam's the best. And he first saw his himself as Nick Fury in Ultimates by Mark Miller and Brian Hitch. And he tells his story on lots of news channels about how he saw it at Golden Apple and was like, hey, did we give permission for them to use my likeness as this comic book character? What's going on here? And he called Marvel for basically a cease and desist. And they said, well, we were thinking of maybe doing a movie. Would you be interested in playing that character? And as you can see behind me, the rest is history. What has he done? Like 15 Marvel films and 3 television shows. So, he got the last laugh on that one, but they didn't ask his permission. He found out about it by walking the racks at Golden Apple. And actually, one of our employees reminded me recently that he pointed out to, he put it in his box. He has like a special box behind the counter. That he's like, oh, just pick whatever you think I'd like, kind of thing for 30 years. And that's what we do for him. And it's like hand curated, basically. And someone put that in his box and was like, well, I just thought you want to read it because it was you. And he was very like Pulp Fiction at that point. Like, yeah, I don't know if you can swear on this, but
yeah, no, go for it.
A lot of Samuel L. Jackson seeing himself and not being happy about it. And you fill in the blank.
We lost David.
Oh, I think his internet froze up.
Oh, no.
He just didn't like my story about Sam Jackson.
No, I mean, shoot, the fact that your stories, every story could be, like you said, a documentary. I don't know why a documentary hasn't been made. We got to talk. I got a camera.
Hey, David, welcome back. We've been featured on a lot of like DVD behind the scenes stuff. If you look at bonus features on stuff, a lot of interviews happen in the store. The store's been used for filming TV shows and movies, as well as interviews. That Collider series that's on YouTube called Comic Book Shopping, that's hosted by Coy Jandreau. Mm-hmm. Before that, if you can remember, Blair Butler from G4. You remember G4?
Oh, yeah.
And Olivia Munn, We had Olivia Munn come in our shop and do a book signing for a book that wasn't even out yet.
And
we had
she signed
1,000 people
for honestly 6 hours straight. It was
She's a
ridiculous.
Trooper.
I was like, oh my God. She's like, well, I don't know how much time I have. I'm just gonna keep going.
She didn't stop for water.
She didn't
take a piss. Nothing. She was 6 hours straight. The only other person that's done that is Chuck. How do you say his last name? Palahniuk, the guy from Fight Club. I don't know how to say his last name. I'm butchering it.
Oh, it's okay. I butcher names all the time.
The guy who created Fight Club and wrote the book.
Yeah.
Did a signing in our store, and it also lasted like 6 hours. He was taking crazy pictures with people where he's beating them up. And it was, you have to look at the video and the pictures online. Pretty nuts. But, that's the fun of it. We got lucky. We're second generation owners. My dad did pass away in 2004. We had our own careers in Las Vegas. Kendra and I were living in Las Vegas.
Mafia?
For 5 years. And we had, what's that?
It's the Mafia?
No.
Yeah, right? No, legit. She worked in television.
Oh, wow.
And I worked in events and catering.
Yeah, it wasn't that exciting. I sold time for infomercials.
Oh,
those infomercials? Those 30-minute infomercials you see on TV?
Yep. I shot a couple of infomercials back in the day, back in the 90s, when I worked for a production company. But yeah, hey.
90s was big for infomercials.
Yeah.
Really big.
My favorite infomercial, and I just saw it pop up again on Instagram, was the headset that you could slap your phone onto and you could have hands-free. It's like, that's hands-free. All right. I'm still connected to something, but it's hands-free.
Amazing. So yeah, we were living in Vegas. Then we moved back to LA to run the shop, and we've been here 20 years. And we've done a lot. We've sold a shop. We've moved the main mega store to where it is currently, which actually used to be double in size. If you recall, when we opened it, Stan Lee was there for the ribbon cutting ceremony of the grand reopening of Golden Apple with my mom. Seth Green met his wife that day. at our event. Things like, love is in the air at Golden Apple. A lot of people have met there. Like Pablo met his wife working at Golden Apple. Pablo, fellow podcaster. Shout out to our boy Pablo.
He was actually really cool to work with for the free comic book day. So yeah, but
good guy.
Yeah, he's a really cool guy, and he did tell me his story of how he met his wife at Golden Apple by selling her it was a comic book for her then boyfriend. I was like, what? He's all like, yep. And then it just.
Who also worked at Golden Apple.
Oh my gosh.
He was dating a guy who worked at the store, and then they broke up. And he was like, the guy was like, hey, you should take her out. And he's like, wouldn't that be weird? And he's like, no, I think you guys would hit it off. And here we are.
Who was she dating?
I'll tell you after. I'm not going to call out people.
That's some
like,
cheese.
Wait a second.
That's Brandy. That's Brandy.
I know. I
She'll
guess
tell you everything.
So you've got all these different things going on. On top of that, you also recently started your own foundation, and tell us all about that.
So about 3 years ago, one of our longtime customers who has always told us that he's not selling his collection. He has a ginormous collection. He said, I'm not going to sell it. I want it to go to my alma mater, University of Pennsylvania. We said, okay, great, no problem. And then he said, they're coming out. They're going to look at it, and everything was going great. Then he calls us up and says, why don't you start a foundation and I will donate my collection to you, to the foundation. You'll immediately have a huge donation, and then you can pass it on to the University of Pennsylvania. We're like, great, let's do it. Didn't work out that way. IRS frowns on that because the gentleman's still alive. Oh. So for him to get any real tax write-off or anything like that, he had to donate it directly to the university. But what we did was we said, we will still help. We will still honor our commitment. We will still help you. And so what we did is we took his entire collection, which was in zero organization. It
was chronological. It was basically like
I read this.
Like every week, because comic books come out every week.
Yeah.
Weekly Wednesday Warrior at Golden Apple. And he gets a chunk of comics, right? And he puts them in a box. And then next week, and the next week, and the next week, and the next month, and the next year, and the next year.
None of the boxes were numbered.
200 long boxes.
Oh my God.
They were upside down, backwards, forwards, packed like sardines. No dividers, no bags and boards, nothing.
Except for the variants that he bought at our store.
It only had a bag and a board. If we bagged and boarded before he bought it. That's yes. But anyway, we organized it, we cataloged it, we bagged and boarded and reboxed everything, alphanumeric, and we shipped it to the university on his behalf.
5 pallets so far have gone.
5 pallets worth of comic books.
But the majority of what was really worth something has already gone. So what we have left are the quarter books.
The initial pallet, the first pallet was only 6 short boxes, and it was valued almost $300,000. I mean, this guy had, one of the best collections, but the comics weren't in the best condition. And nothing was graded. It's very specific about this. He didn't want anything graded. He was a purist. Because, the Golden Apple Comic and Art Foundation, which is what our nonprofit organization is called, is about showcasing and archiving comics and original art for future generations to enjoy. It's for research purposes. It's for archival purposes. And, there's actually a great article that just came out in Forbes online. But you have to be a subscriber to read it. But there are.
I'm gonna. If you read my, I think I have you guys on my newsletter. I'm going to link the PDF on my newsletter in July.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, and
so
you can
I'll
also,
make sure.
we're going to update our website. It's comicartfoundation.org. You can go over there. We're a legit 501c3. Put it this way, we had a comic book collection worth well over $500,000. We didn't sell one book for profit. It's all going to the university. It all got, the royal treatment, and it got cataloged and shipped. We're currently working, even today,
Yes,
on another collection by a gentleman who actually is deceased.
Dennis Neil Smith.
He was an artist, and he also worked at one of the biggest conventions on the West Coast predating Comic-Con. It was called WesterCon. He was a big part of that, and he inspired Harlan Ellison to write some stories based on his artwork. And he had one of the biggest pulp collections, magazine, comic books, pulp comics, and pulp. What is it called? Like
they're digests.
Digests, like prose novels, like little pocketbooks. But they date back to the early turn of the century, early 1900s. Yeah. It's incredible, this collection. We haven't organized and cataloged it all, so we don't know what exactly he had.
It's in rough alphabetical.
It's in rough alphabetical right now. We still have to bag and board some stuff because that wasn't even all, secured for the ages either. It's amazing to see. Everybody has these collections. We talked about your guys' collections and action figures and comic books. Keep them nice, guys. That's all I can say. Keep them nice, keep them organized, keep them bagged and boarded if you feel like they're going to have some value. Because you never know, it's a question that we've sort of, talked about a lot in our foundation and a lot of meetings and a lot of Zoom calls and interviews like this, which is, what are you going to do with your collection when you're gone? Now, a lot of people would say, just going to go to my kids. Great answer. Going to get passed down to generation. We love that. Some people want to sell to the highest bidder. Fine.
Right. Do it.
No reason you can't. You just put a lot of time and effort and money into it. But what the biggest problem is, and especially in our donors, our first donors, situation, he didn't want his kids fighting over it. He didn't want it thrown away. He didn't want it mismanaged. He didn't want it to go the highest bidder. He certainly didn't want to get sold. And nor did his kids need to do that. They're fine. They have houses and money and things like that. They don't need to touch his preciouses, right? Yeah. And he didn't want them. These are his. And so it's just something to consider, And our goal is not to have every comic ever made end up in a library or an archive or a museum. That's certainly not our focus. It would be nice someday if one of every comic ended up in one of those places, for archival and research purposes. Comics were made in masses, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, Action Comics #1 and Detective 27, there's only so many in the world, but it's not like there's one, right?
Not yet.
But one of them is in a museum somewhere. We already know that, so that's good. We don't have to deal with that. But it's the span of the last 50 years that really we wanted to get archived and put in there, and that's what Gary wanted, our donor. So
right, and the other part that we want to go into is preserving and protecting the original art. Because a lot of the original art is in, individuals' collections, and, how many people are going to see, let's say you have a Fantastic Four, page 4 from issue #1, but how many people are really honestly going to see that? I mean, you're not going to bring it down to Golden Apple and say, "Hey, look what I got," and that's not going to happen.
Yeah, either the artists themselves or a private collector owns every original piece of art. And what's cool about comic book art is that they're one of a kind. They're literally the original one of ones. You know, there's a lot of talk about these sports card streams, and then we pulled a one of one Luka Doncic or LeBron James logo man. That's a fabricated one of one. Every single page of comic book art was meticulously hand drawn, laid out, lettered, everything. You know, especially the original stuff. You know, from you know, back in the day. When you see those artist editions, you know, those big oversized ones that IDW is putting out and Scott Dunbier did such an amazing job with, you get to see scans of the original pages because they are
huge,
5 to 10 times larger than a comic book, and then they scan it and scale it down and color it and everything. But you get to see, you know, all the whiteout and all the blue lines and all the mess ups and all the notes and the gutters
on top and you know, or gluing on top.
Yeah, they glued like word balloons on there. Literally, it's incredible to see. And so when you see an original piece of art, it's really inspiring. And it's okay to do digital art. You know, we understand the reason to do that. We're not against digital art, but we are purists, similar to our donor. Like those original pages, you know, not all of them deserve to be in a museum or, you know, archived, but some of them. What we're going to do, getting back to what Kendra was saying, we're not just all about, you know, universities and you know, these collections. We also want to get into doing museum work and mobile museums. Tell them a little bit about that.
Yeah. So right now we have a grant writer on, you know, on our team, and she is working tirelessly to get us some grants so we can start, you know, going forward to get a mobile museum exhibit together.
Explain about it.
What that is, you know, when we actually did a couple events down at the Natural History Museum here in LA. And so I talked to a couple of the guys there, and he said, you know, one thing that museums are really looking into or really needing is smaller exhibitions, because they can go and get the 10,000 square foot exhibition, no problem. They find those.
Yeah,
no
the
problem.
Big featured thing.
It's the smaller galleries that they don't have anything to really go in. You know, things are either too big or way too small, or, you know, and it's like, well, we can fill that. And so,
so if it's like, you know, 1,000 square feet or 500 or something like that, you get a small exhibit with a theme. You work with either a creator or a publisher. We're talking to Dark Horse right now and some other publishers about featuring their art and their artists and doing a cool little exhibition in a smaller room, and then have that be able to be compact enough to travel around the world to different museums these museums kind of all work together. You know, You'll see, you know, something at, you know, LACMA that was just in Paris, and then before that it was in Germany, and before, like, it just moves around, and smaller, you know, exhibits like this can travel with it.
That would actually be really cool for like schools too. Like
that's actually.
Or go ahead, David.
All right, I've been really focused on this conversation and listening. I haven't talked very much. This thing kicked in, and I've been like zoned on these conversations. But that idea is so awesome, because I know when IDW was operating out of the Barracks 36 in San Diego, downstairs they had the comic book museum, and it was, when I experienced it, it was all Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird's.
Amazing, right? And they had his original drafting table.
Yes, and they had his whole like a recreation of his office set up inside, and he provided all the extra toys and stuff that he had from his personal collection. And it was me.
Kevin Eastman's another person who found love at Golden Apple. His first wife he met at Golden Apple. Julie Strain, R.I.P. But you know.
Yeah. But I was born the same year as the Ninja Turtles, and it has been a like driving force of everything. I draw Ninja Turtles when I don't know what to draw. So it's always been something I do. So experiencing that was freaking amazing. I got to meet Kevin. I got to meet a bunch of other IDW artists there. He actually got to look at some of the art that I do for the Ninja Turtles. And the biggest compliment I ever got was he was like, "Dude, your Ninja Turtles are amazing. I love them." And I was just like,
hey,
he's a really great guy. Kevin's a really great guy. I've known him since I was a little kid. And, it's just been great to see his career. And we go back to the heavy metal days.
yes.
Well, obviously the turtle stuff, but then the heavy metal stuff and a lot of Comic-Cons together and everything else, a lot of store events. But there's another thing that, we at the Golden Apple Comic and Art Foundation want to get into in the near future is scholarships. A lot of people want to get into the comic book industry like yourself, David. So there's people who want to be artists, writers, publishers, editors, letterers, inkers, colorists, whatever, right? Those people need to develop a skill. And so going to an art school or going to a specific, trade school to learn those skills is something we want to help with. But then near and dear to our hearts is a lot of, let's be honest, most stores are probably opened by fans, like people who really love comic books. If I had a nickel for every person who came in and told me I had the greatest job ever, I'd love to own a comic book store someday. I love Marvel or whatever it is. I'd be really rich. Unfortunately, when you own a comic book store, you're not really rich. You have the love of it. We found out it the hard way. So we would love to send people who are aspiring to be comic book retailers to business school, because it's running a business. This is a retail business. This is not fun and games. This isn't just sitting around reading comic books all day and talking about who would win in a fight, Batman or Spider-Man. You get to do those things. Those are the fun parts of the job. But at the end of the day, you got budgets and payroll and ordering and overhead and bills and everything. You got to learn how to run a business, especially managing people. If you're going to run a store and not just work 7 days a week, open to close, like a lot of shop owners do, it's really hard. It's a really tough life, and, we want to help people who do want to open a store and mentor them and, do scholarships to hopefully send them to business school before they go and take the plunge. Things like that.
That's really awesome to hear something like that. Not only do you want to just, preserve the art, but you also want to help people to get into it more. And
we need more shops. We need another generation of shops. It's kind of rare. I'm a rare breed. I'm a second generation comic book store owner. It's a very rare thing. Jeffrey's Comics was also one of them. They just closed, unfortunately, last year. I knew his dad. I know Jeffrey. He wants to do some work with our foundation. Just a great family, great people. But there's just very few second generation comic book shop owners. I think there's more and more that's going to start turning up as the people who opened them 30, 40, 50 years ago get older. You got to turn somewhere. A lot of people maybe sell it to an employee or a customer or something like that. But there is a new generation of owners. There's a lot of young faces that are opening shops, and it's so exciting to see. We go to meetings like Comics Pro, which is a comic book retailer group we're part of. And there are people from all over the world who own shops, and we all share stories and information. We work with the publishers, and there's a lot of young people, and it's great. We want to see more and more of that because we turned 50 this year. We're getting old. I might not look it, but I've been doing this for 20 years, just us, without my dad, and just turned 50, and at some point you got to have an exit strategy. You got to have right. You got to have a retirement, thing. So I have a daughter and a niece and a nephew, but we don't know if any of them are going to step up to run the family business. So we got to kind of consider what's next and things like that, eventually.
Yeah. Well, you guys mentioned that you go to the Compros and you're starting to see younger people than us. Cause I'm not too far behind you guys, David he's a little bit
Right
further
behind
back,
you.
but he's not that far behind either. But do you notice that there's kind of a resurgence of interest in actual tangible comic books, whereas back in the 90s we did see that decline to the point where we almost lost the comic book industry because it seemed like nobody was buying. So,
well, comics were just being overprinted in the 80s and 90s because of the surge. You watch that Image documentary, which I'm in as well, by the way, and you see these guys, Rob and Todd and all these guys, they were disappointed if their comic only shipped 1 million units that issue. They were disappointed. It was a flop. It was like back to the drawing board. If you watch that documentary, it's eye-opening.
mm-hmm.
I watched it. Spawn 5 million copies. 2, 3, 4, 5 million. 1 million was like bad to them. So that's the problem. There was an overabundance. It's supply and demand. It's the classic, business law of business.
Yeah.
And so these days we're seeing, a bigger demand and less supply in certain ways. A lot of variant covers that are very limited, like Golden Apple does exclusive variants. A lot of shops and online retailers do their own. A lot of creators themselves, like J. Scott Campbell, or somebody, like that, does their own personal covers that you can only get from them. It's pretty cool. So there's a lot of like supply and demand happening, a lot of, limited releases. And we are seeing comics selling out every week. I mean, look at what happened with, we just had Uncanny X-Men 700 sell out. Now, yes, we had Jerry Duggan in our shop signing them, but we sold way more copies than we thought we would of, a book that's been going on for a long time.
Background on Jerry Duggan. He used to be an employee of Golden Apple.
There's a success story right there. Jerry got his start at Golden Apple. He'll tell you, he tells everybody. And that's where he met Patton Oswalt and Brian Posehn and all these people he collaborates with, like on Deadpool and everything else he's been doing. So Jerry's superhero origin story is Golden Apple as well. So it's I could go on for hours of stuff like that.
No, have we overstayed our welcome?
Right.
No.
Look at Ultimate. Spider-Man. I sold a first printing for $75 recently.
Jeez,
that's kind of ridiculous, to be honest with you. And it's not limited. Okay, that they printed what 50, 75,000, maybe more of that book, maybe 100, maybe over 100. I don't know. I don't actually know the number, but like that's not a limited book.
Yeah, not yet.
It came out months ago, not years ago, months ago, and I sold it for $75. I was kind of laughing, like, what? Like somebody left one in their subscription poll, I think, and canceled, and we were like, oh, look, Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Spider-Man #1. What's that go for these days? I mean, a lot of times on a Wednesday, you can go to eBay or you can go to Whatnot or wherever, and people are already selling these new books for double, triple, or even up to 10 times.
That's
nuts. Those Uncanny X-Men's, while Jerry was at my store signing them, were going for $20 on eBay unsigned.
Jeez.
So it's just one of those things. I think there is a big supply and demand. It always has been, and thankfully right now there's more demand than supply. Even for a book that's printed in excess of 50,000 copies, there's millions and millions of people in this world now. When in the 90s, maybe you printed 1 million comics, but the fan base wasn't that big.
Yeah. Now
the fan base is giant, and they can't keep up with the demand, which is, in our opinion, great. I'm fine with it.
Exactly. But the biggest thing that boosted this industry was the fact that all these movies came out. So all of us that have been dying to be able to see this on the screen and moving around and alive now got the chance to see that. And that, like, for me, sparked the interest once again to start collecting comic books, because for a huge time, I actually stopped. I actually did work at a comic book store back in when I was in high school. It was 92 to 96. I was working at a small comic shop in West Covina, or downtown Covina. God, I wish I could remember the name of it now, but it escapes me. But that's where I was really collecting my comics. Then, of course, that's when I saw the downturn of everything. And but I stopped, and then, of course, years down the line, joined the Army, still wasn't collecting, and then started collecting again. Now, I'm not making somebody happy at home because I got a bunch of comic books now in the way of everything. But I'm kind of doing what your collector did, which was I still have a bag that has Golden Apple stamped on it and all the last comic books that I bought from there. I'm like, okay, I'm going to read these. And then I have this from last week, and I have this the week before. Okay, I got to.
It is part of it's just part of it. Like, people come in every week. Comics are weekly. They're published monthly, but they're shipped weekly. And it's real easy to get behind, especially if you're trying to read multiple series at once. It's like television. Like,
I can't do it.
How many TV shows can you guys watch at once?
I'll be honest with you. I cannot do it. Maybe my brain power isn't enough, but I tried really hard.
We're not built for that. I read trade paperbacks.
I need trades. Give me the full story.
And we want to read like 5-6 issues at once and just get the whole thing, in one sitting. That's just us, our personal preference. But yeah, I mean, that is definitely a problem. It's like you just build up these, boxes and boxes of stuff, and you probably haven't read half of it. But then again, you'll find time at some point to go back and read the ones that you're like, oh, I bought all those issues, and now I'm going to sit down and read them the same way we're reading our trade paperbacks and hardcovers. You can read 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 issues of something right in a row.
I feel bad though, because for the longest time I had stuff buried in my my shed they were all still the bag boarded in a box of its own within another box. They were all protected. And then I started pulling stuff out, and we were tossing stuff out. But those were the one things I was like, you're not going to throw these out. And then recently I was like, oh, I'm just going to buy a short box because I think that's all I need. Yeah, I filled up the short box, and I was like, I should have bought a long box.
Should have brought 5 more. Yeah, right. Yeah. Looks like we have a question again from Wish Upon a Star. It's actually a very relevant question. You're really good at this. I don't know if someone is feeding you these questions, but I love that you're helping here. How many times has Golden Apple won the Retailer Eisner Award? So the Eisners, named after Will Eisner, kind of the godfather of the graphic novel and storyteller extraordinaire. The Eisner Award is like the Academy Awards of the comic book industry now. Of course, it was the Golden Apple Awards at one point. Nope. That was like once. That was a joke. We did it once.
It was such a joke.
It was a one-time thing. That was the thing with Alan Moore. He doesn't get his award. Anyway, so the Eisner Awards happen at San Diego Comic-Con every year. And then Will Eisner, who's famous for doing a book called The Spirit, has a special award that he created called Will Eisner's Spirit of Comics Award. And what it is, it's given to a retailer who, gives back to their community and just kind of exemplifies the spirit of comics, basically. And it's like the greatest comic shop in the world award given out every year, if that makes more sense. Golden Apple won it in the second year that the Eisner Awards took place, which I believe was 1994. 94.
It was
1994. I think I started in 93. It's funny because they had to catch up because it was this new award. They were basically giving out 2 shops a year for the first 10 years because there were so many shops. There's like thousands of shops.
Yeah, there was a lot during that time.
They couldn't, they needed to start getting through it a little faster. and so we won it immediately, right when it started. And you can only win once. That's the real answer here. So much so that a few years back, Golden Apple was nominated again. I got a notification. I was really excited because I'm a new owner. I'm a second generation owner. And I said, wow, that's amazing. You can't nominate yourself, for the record. You have to be nominated. And we got nominated. And then I got a message from the person who runs the awards rescinding it, saying, oh, we've made an error. You've already won it, so you can't win again. And I had to clarify it. And I actually went on record for every comic book shop owner, every second generation owner, and every new owner of a comic book store, and said, I don't think that's fair. It had nothing to do with me, really. Let's give you an example. Brave New World Comics, that was in Santa Clarita up until recently when Andy just moved it. They won the Eisner Award like 10 years ago, something like that. It was Adam in Portland back then. Adam from Bad Idea, if you guys are Bad Idea fans, same guy. And they won the Eisner Award. And that shop has now had 3 or 4 different owners that aren't family. Current owner Andy Legal is awesome. And I actually said to them, I said, you're telling me Andy can't win an award? I mean, that guy's been running the shop for like 10 years and he's doing amazing stuff and got through the pandemic and did all this stuff. Forget me. But they rescinded it, and I'm telling it too long. But this year, this is the punchline, they changed the rule because of me.
Oh,
so
nice.
I had a hand in it. Let's just put it that way. So now new generation owners and new owners of previous winning shops can now be nominated and win. And we got nominated again this year.
Oh, nice.
And I submitted. And Pablo, shout out to my boy Pablo, helped throw together a video. Shout out to Tony Carlson, who helped as well. And we put a video together last minute and submitted it. And, fingers crossed, we'll see. I don't care that much about winning. We're not really about awards and accolades. I mean, we started a nonprofit organization. We have that philanthropic bug. It would be kind of cool to be the first second generation Eisner Award winner. I'll just put it out there. That would be awesome. Be a little feather in our cap, but I don't really care about awards and things like that. But it would be interesting to be the first of the kind, especially because I helped get the rule changed. So that's the answer.
Well, the cool thing is that you guys you're saying that you're not about the awards, because your reward is not only that you guys have been around for 45 years, but all the lives you've touched, even in the 20 years that you guys have been running this. So it's all the people that have worked for you, all the people that come into the shop, all the stars, everything. That to me would be more of a reward than actually having an award saying, hey, check it out. Look, I got this thing.
Right. Yeah. It's funny about that. Thank you, by the way, for what you just said. They have another rule. They're all about rules at the Eisner Awards. My submission was, you can't have someone else tell us how cool you are or why you deserve it. You have to tell us. And so like what you just said, and a couple other people I've told this to, have these really nice words to say. And I was like, man, that would be sweet in our video. Pablo could just splice that in. But again, it has to come from us. And it's hard. It's a hard thing to do, to tell people why
cool
you deserve an award. But, we did our best to put our best foot forward. We're not expecting to win, but it was really cool to get nominated for the first time as a second generation owner. And just know, if you're watching this, if you're a new owner of a shop that previously won, you can win too.
That's awesome. So
that is awesome.
Now we've talked about your shop. We've talked about the things that you're doing. Now, sometimes not sometimes, but what we do like to ask our guests is kind of like, what is it that you guys are kind of geeking out on right now? What do you guys like? Because I know that you said that, Kendra, you said you had nothing to do with comic books before you met.
I married into this business.
So let me start with Kendra. What is it that right now you're now like kind of geeking out on that you're really like into?
Really? You want to know this one?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm really into decluttering. hence the box that had to go away.
Basically, by like starting this foundation and organizing somebody else's collection that was completely unorganized, I think we found a new respect for cleanliness and organization.
Order.
I know that's not the answer you're looking for.
Oh, that's fine.
We watched the new House of Dragon last night.
Yeah, we did.
And I know we're huge Game of Thrones fans. Yeah. I know there was a comic book, but it's in nerd culture, right?
Yeah, yep. And for us, it's not just like comic books that we're talking about. I mean, when we talk about our stuff on our show, we cover everything. You know?
Right. Can you tell them about some of the stuff we're watching that's geeky? We're watching with Casey.
We've never watched The Big Bang Theory.
Oh,
never. And so my daughter and I are we started with Young Sheldon, and now we're watching Big Bang Theory.
We actually watched it in chronological order.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it's really fun.
Acolyte. We're watching Acolyte. The Star Wars.
I haven't watched that, but what I'm like, I asked people before I even want to watch it, what do you guys think of that show?
I thought the first 2 episodes were really eye-opening. We were like, wow, this is actually really good. Interesting characters, cool world building, tons of lightsabers and fights. Third episode wasn't as, a little more flashbacky, and we're not trying to give anything away, but, wasn't as exciting. But I think there's another episode tonight maybe we're going to watch, and we'll check it out. We're enjoying it overall. I mean, we watched most of the Star Wars universe shows. Most of them we were entertained. We're a little different. We are perceived as uber geek nerds. You own a comic book store, your family,
and yes, we are that.
And going back for 45 years, I probably know everything about every comic and every character and everything. I'm an encyclopedia of knowledge when it comes to this stuff. I'm not. I know a little bit about a lot of stuff. I can carry a conversation with any of my customers on any given topic or subject. I know a little bit about everything.
And a lot about nothing. That's right.
That?
I said I tell my kids the same thing. I know a little bit about everything and a lot about nothing.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right. But like, we're about just being entertained, whether it's reading a comic book, watching a TV show, or a movie, and most things entertain us.
Yeah,
we're pretty easy to
didn't
please.
Like that one.
Which one?
I think that I did not.
It was really surprising at Free Comic Book Day. We were giving away all those Steel books, and we had it sponsored by Disney, which was incredible. I mean, we gave away like 75 Steel books for free. That was incredible.
Yep.
Everybody wanted Andor, and I was like, "Where have you guys all been?" Because that show wasn't that great. Do I have to watch it again?
I remember you and me had mentioned like you were giving me more Andors, and I was like, I'm guessing that I'm gonna have to rewatch that. And the funny thing is we just had JC on, and he's uber Star Wars geek.
Oh,
and he brought up that show, and I was just like, I don't get it, bro. I don't. He's like excited about the next season. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it was all right. Yeah, so JC, just back to JC for a minute at Scum and Villainy. Kevin Smith and Mark Bernardin do their podcast from there when in town and when they can. That's where they do the live. And Kevin Smith is actually an associate board member of the Golden Foundation. He's been great. He had me on Fat Man and Beyond 2 or 3 times, including live from Comic-Con.
Oh gosh!
When he took over like a restaurant,
they did like a movies pop up.
It was like a movie. Yeah, it was a movies pop up, and he was doing podcasts, 3 times a day there. And I was his featured guest one day in the middle of Comic-Con. Awesome. He could have had anybody, and he wanted me to come on because he really wanted to promote our foundation. That's the way he could give back. Like, he's a mensch. Like, that's, he can only do so much, and there's so much time and effort and whatever, but what he does is really helpful. He signed a stack about this high of his comics. He's a publisher as well. He's got Quick Stops and Masquerade and all these current titles through Dark Horse, through his imprint, Secret Stash Press.
Yeah.
And so, just such an awesome dude, such a nice guy. And you think I'm long-winded. That dude.
I've heard.
Have him on your podcast. You'll never get a word.
Oh my God, I would sit there all night. I'd let him just keep talking, just be like, yeah.
Best 3 hours of our life right there.
Yeah.
Mark Bernardin is great too. He's done a few signings in the store. We just had him at WonderCon. He helped us raise some money for the foundation as well through his appearance at WonderCon, selling his Mace Windu book and Adora and things like that. So big shout out to Mark Bernardin as well.
Yeah, Kevin Smith and Chris Hardwick, those guys are the reason why I'm doing a podcast, is because I listened to those guys.
Yeah.
And also when it came to film work, Kevin is one of my, even though yes, Lucas, Spielberg, all those bigger names, it was Kevin Smith, Robert Rodriguez, Quentin Tarantino. These were the guys that inspired me to want to do more film stuff. And then instead I joined the Army. But that's beside the point.
No, I mean, those are some of my inspirations too. I mean, I'm not a film guy, but I don't aspire to do, direct films or, do any of that. But, when I look at, directors, I mean, those are the guys I'm in awe of, because you can tell how much just time and effort and personal sacrifice they put in to make these films.
And passion.
And they put
love
their,
it. They
put their finger
it.
on it. I mean, especially Robert Rodriguez.
Oh yeah.
And I love how he integrates food and music. Same with Tarantino, and Kevin. I mean, music's a pretty, it's
a big part of this.
It's something people don't talk about a lot about his movies, but he's got great soundtrack.
Yeah, he does. And oh my God, I can keep going on, but we're not. But if he ever wants to, if he has time, just let him know. We'll love to have him on and talk all night.
He's a busy guy. He owns a theater and a comic book shop in New Jersey. He's working on our board. No, it doesn't take a lot of time, but he's just such a good guy, and we're lucky.
I mean, he is on our board, but he
doesn't spend a lot of time.
We don't ask him to do a whole bunch of stuff.
But we've been doing a lot of prints. I don't know. We, one of the things you got to do in a 501c3 nonprofit is do some fundraising. So,
oh my God,
that's awesome. Kevin East. That's your boy Kevin Eastman right there, right? Oh, I just
Ronan.
Kevin Eastman did his best Frank Miller impression right there.
That is awesome.
Speaking of Frank Miller, he's the one who started our foundation. Our first ever event was with Frank. Frank did this is a film called American Genius that just got distribution, and they just had an event last week in LA. Frank was there, got interviewed by Rosario Dawson. We were involved in helping to promote it. I'm actually the one who suggested to Frank that Rosario go and do the Q&A. Kevin Smith almost did it, but wasn't available. and then our buddy John Carpenter. So every year, filmmaker John Carpenter comes to Golden Apple. I always hold this wrong. There we go. This was our exclusive cover where he. Can you see that? He's holding an apple. There's like a golden apple in there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But that's his face. That's John. I'm trying to put it at an angle where you guys can actually see this.
I'm trying to. Let's see if I can. Can I get you guys? Nope. I was trying to get just you guys.
John Carpenter and Sandy Carpenter signed this one for us. We do an annual event around Halloween with them for the last 11 years. And then the heavy hitter. We only have a couple of these left. I think we have like 2 left. Mr. Keanu Reeves himself.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah. So Keanu, when we did that surprise Berserker signing with Keanu, he's such a good dude. Everything you hear about him is right, is absolutely correct. He walked in on this surprise signing for his comic book, and he says, "Hey, Ryan, I'm supposed to sign those charity prints. Where are those?" And I was like, "Oh, they're right over here. Let me go get them." And his management said he was only supposed to sign like 10 or 20 of them, and he signed a few. And I stopped him. I said, "Hey, Keanu, we were told you'd only sign a few of them." And he looked at me and he goes, "You have a stack of them here. Don't you want me to sign them all?" I said, "Yeah, it would be great, but I'm not going to make you do that. I was told you were only going to do so many." And he looked at me and goes, just keep doing it. Let's just keep going. And he signed all of them for us. And
oh my God,
the guy is just so nice. And also that book is great, Berserker by Boom Studios.
Yeah,
checked it out. The first main arc just finished. There's 12 issues and a couple one-shots. So all you comic fans out there, Keanu Reeves not only has a comic book out there, he's heavily involved in the series. He doesn't just put his name on things. There are some celebrities that have done that, and we've hosted signings at Golden Apple for them, where maybe someone just puts their name on it and didn't really do much. And then there's others. Most people of note really care about the comics, and they're really geeked out about it. And when they do a signing at our shop or wherever they do Comic-Con, they're so excited to physically see a comic book. Just to have Keanu hold his comic book. When he came in when the first issue came out and was like, "Man, this is amazing." Like, I've had this conversation with many celebrities, comic book creators alike. It's like when they finally get it in their hands, that physical media. And it's different than digital. That's why digital comics is never really going to win out. That's, the comic book shops, the collector's market, it's always going to be there because these are physical comics. They have condition, they have grade, they have value. You can touch them, smell them. A lot of people love to smell comic books. I don't know what it is, but it's especially the older ones. And it's just one of those experiences, physically reading a book, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And
not listening to it on tape.
What was that?
Not listening to it on tape. Like holding the book, bending the spine.
I love reading audiobooks, all right? So leave me alone.
That's not reading.
What is this one?
Oh my gosh. I get my little stars. You know how you've read so many from Audible? And, I constantly get all these things. So it's hilarious. So I'm all about the audiobook.
Great. Kendra, you and me, we've just become best friends then. David, you're out.
Are we already, Eugene?
Yes, we are. I'm sorry. I didn't mean we are already best friends. You're next level now.
I always rib him because I have read I got him into the Dresden Files, and that's like 18 books long, and I think I read a majority of those books within 3-month time frame. So I think I read 12 to 14 of them. And I'm talking like the tangible. I was carrying the book everywhere I went. I pulled it out of my back pocket anytime I had a free moment. I would lay down to go to sleep, and my wife would pass out, and I'd be just turning pages. First book was done in a day and a half. Like, I had it just completely done. So he's like dude, I'm on my
TV shows. Like, you can binge comic books. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially
and when I got him into it,
in a box that you haven't read, you can just pull them out, read them. And you can reread.
Right.
A lot of people love to reread them. Like, okay, I've read them, love them. 10 years later, 20 years later, they want to pull them back out and reread them.
The best thing about the books is taking them on deployment with us. Those are amazing. Like having a book on deployment it's next to, I don't know.
There was a time when we did a lot of work with Operation Gratitude, which sends comic books to troops and their families overseas. But we sent so many comic books, and I don't mean just Golden Apple, like collectively the comic book industry got behind it so much that they eventually said, okay, we have enough comic books. Now we just need money
to ship
all this stuff. So we started raising money for them and stopped sending them comic books. But, the comic book industry sent millions of comics to troops.
When I was in Iraq, I remember picking up some of those free comic books. I'd be in the PX buying like Gatorade or something, and they'd be like, hey, man, we got a stack of comics and you should grab one. And I'd be like, man, you guys must have knew I was coming. And I'd take a couple of each. And it was cool. Like they didn't last the deployment. They got destroyed because I was out in Iraq or whatever. But I got to thumb through a bunch of comic books.
Comics are such a fun, form of storytelling. A lot of people say they learn to read from reading a comic book, or maybe they learned English if they're from a different, background. A lot of kids who just don't want to pick up a boring book with just words in it, needs pictures to get them motivated. Comics obviously do both. They're like storyboards of TV shows and movies, and they show action sequences and things like that. And I think it really helps people who, want to be creative, and it inspires a lot of kids to do art or do animation or, direct a movie, something like that.
Yeah, my daughter is one of those that she does love to read, and that was something that we tried to instill in her when she was young. But as she started getting older, she started getting into drawing, and now she's to the point where her and her little friends are getting together and they write their own little comic book. And it's like this big, but they hand draw everything, and then she'll draw something, she'll pass it on to the next friend, and the next friend will actually ink it. The next one will do the color.
Nice.
So yeah, they're having
we sell books like that in our shop and have for many, many years, and they're called zines. They're like little fanzines, like little mini comics, Some are just really sloppy and, hand drawn and just photocopied, and some are a little more professional looking. It's local, independent, self-published, people that we have an entire section of that in our store. We promote people who are local, who don't get picked up by a big publisher, but have these creative juices. Also, a lot of crowdfunding websites like Kickstarter are really helping people live out their dream of being a comic book creator.
Which that's what's awesome about now. We now have the opportunity from doing our independent films, which we can throw up onto YouTube, to creating our own comic books on basically the cheap. Because like David was saying, this guy is on his iPad drawing all day long, and he can do a comic if he wants to on that, and then send it off to a publisher, get it printed up, and then find somebody like either you guys or even go to a con, because there's so many cons now.
Yeah, just get an artist alley table.
Yeah. So
and just
why haven't you done that? God.
And hustle, man. You gotta get out there and self promote. And
because the military takes up all of our time. When do I have time to make a comic book?
Well, we love what you guys are doing. This is important.
This is awesome.
Like using a platform of podcasting to talk about the industry of comics, showcasing stores, nonprofit organizations, not just us. Obviously, you guys do that yourselves very well. We do suggest reaching out to some of the other comic book based charities like the Hero Initiative, Comic Book Legal Defense Fund, and Comics for Kids. That guy likes to talk.
Comics for Kids.
You want to talk?
Talk to Mark Weiss, baby.
Go talk to Mark. The Comics for Kids. That dude's doing some really great stuff, and he loves to talk.
We would love to get in contact with. We like working with any charity that we can, also because Project Wish Upon a Star is one that Darren, who is he's a huge fan of us. He loves the show, but he also gave us kind of a boost by helping us out to get into LA Comic Con, which has been the biggest thing so far for us. And now that door opened up, and it's been just like a flood of things coming in for us, which is so awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to hook up. It's been great. We're going to do some more stuff. We're talking about internally doing more of these podcast theaters. Live podcasting.
Let's talk, because I will build you a castle, just like Kevin Smith. We will get this thing rolling.
Nice.
I love it. I love it.
But
we appreciate you guys having us on.
Oh no, we love. Honestly, I would love to hear even more stories, and that whole documentary idea.
I have a lot of stories. Yeah,
we got to talk, because But
anyway, you can see when we talk about things, one thing will just trigger it and go, oh, let me tell you about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
It would take hours and hours for me to trigger all the stuff.
Which would be awesome to literally sit down and I would just point a camera at you and we'll figure something out. But we will let you go now, because I think we've had you on for a while, and I don't want to take up too much of your night, because the new episode of Alkalites is coming out, and I'm sure you guys want to watch that.
Yeah, I think we're going to go check that out. But we really appreciate it. I mean, we wouldn't be anywhere without the publishers, the creators, and of course the fans and people like you who were putting this information out for the general public to see on social media or YouTube or wherever they're getting this, whether it's live or pre-recorded. We want to spread the word about how awesome the comic book industry is. Unfortunately, a lot of shops are closing, have closed, but the comic book industry isn't dead. It's thriving in certain capacities, and it's challenging in others. And every store is uniquely owned, usually by a family or partners. There aren't really any corporate comic book stores anymore. There used to be like Sam Goody or one of these kind of mall stores that actually sold comics and a million other things.
Yeah.
Now I don't know of a single kind of corporate comic book store chain. Even the big chains are owned by individuals. Like Graham Crackers Comics owns like 13 locations, mainly in Chicago. But Jamie Graham's a good friend of ours, a big supporter of our foundation. Big shout out to Graham Crackers. And mom and pop shops all over the world are springing up in every country. It's amazing to see shops in New Zealand and Australia and Japan and things like that, where traditionally maybe they just sell manga books in Japan, but now they have mainstream comic book stores and things like that. So it is a global thing. Free Comic Book Day is obviously also global. Something like 10 million comics are handed out on one single day, the first Saturday in May of every year. And just a lot of amazing events and promotions throughout the year on the industry whole, like conventions like San Diego Comic-Con every July, or New York Comic-Con, or wherever you live, there's a comic convention. Might be small, might be big. Look, this weekend we're going to be seeing Julio at Comics and Cocktails.
Yeah, you guys doing
out
that?
Here in the Valley? You guys going to come by for that?
That's on Saturday, right?
On Saturday.
Yeah, I'm stuck here, so I won't.
Out here in Canoga Park, and it's going to be a fun event and a new venue. Shout out to Julio. We're featuring a cult horror movie director at our foundation booth, Jackie Kong from Kong Comics. She's known for a bunch of cult horror movies like Blood Diner and a bunch of other really wacky ones like that are fan favorites. And she started a publishing company and has her first series called Spend the Night, and she's going to be at our booth.
Oh, that's awesome.
Signing copies, debuting the trade paperback, so we can finally get a chance to read it. And we're going to have like one of her vintage movie posters there signed by her that we're going to, we might be auctioning it or giving it away, or I don't know. We're going to have some fun with it. But that's this Saturday. We're constantly doing something. Next weekend, we're doing a fundraiser for the Children's Hospital LA, as well as on Saturday night of next weekend, we're going to be downtown LA, the Kirby Museum. Speaking of Jack Kirby, is doing an event called Kirby Visions. Kirby Vision.
Well, let me get you. There we go.
Kirby Vision, and it's a tribute to Jack Kirby, and the Kirby Museum is going to be there, and we're going to be the featured vendor selling Jack Kirby books. So come on down. The opening reception's on Saturday night of next week. So Comics and Cocktails this Saturday, Kirby Vision next Saturday, and a big sidewalk sale at Golden Apple
Friday, Saturday, Sunday
to raise money for the Children's Hospital LA. So
man, you guys are busy.
We're busy. We do a lot of stuff.
Just a little bit.
And then Comic Con comes up. And
oh my gosh! Yeah.
Maybe we'll win an Eisner Award again. We'll see.
Yeah, it's anything you guys need to post up, anything you guys want us to promote, by all means, you have my number, you have email, tell us. We are behind you guys 100%, both for your shop and for your foundation. And I mean that, and David knows that I don't extend that out to just anybody. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. We want you to become part of the Geek Saga.
We have T-shirts. You
outfitted us. I wore it last week.
We almost wore it tonight, and I was like, I don't want to be that guy that wears the band T-shirt to the concert.
That's okay. We wear our own shirts sometimes on the show. Right. We're just like, yeah, what's up? That's sure.
But yeah, no, thanks for doing this. We love your podcast. Love that you came down to Free Comic Book Day and really handled business and set up everybody. Thank you. Also, thank you for your service.
Yes.
We just signed a paper. We weren't that smart. It's okay.
It's a whole lot easier with good people to support us.
Yeah.
So I've got 18 years in. I'm coming up on the end of my time here. So like I'm ready to move into like start my own comic book company or get my own comic book going. It just depends on how much time I get to do that when I get done.
We always do discounts for vets on Veterans Day and some other times during the year. One of our guys, Josh O'Brien, who you met,
I love Josh.
Yeah, he was a former Navy Seavey, and retired, and is a stand-up comedian, and we're always promoting people in the service, and we appreciate everything you guys do.
Thank you. We appreciate you and everything. So we are going to, if you want to hold on just for about 5 minutes, we're going to take you out, and then we're going to end our show, and then we'll say some goodbyes afterwards, if that's cool with you guys.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay.
You might have some wine in her hand by that point.
I did my coffee.
I was like, don't drink anything before.
You know what? If you guys would have been drinking, it's fine. We had one guest on, Ash, from another podcast. He was, by the end of the podcast, was hammered, and we knew it. He went on.
We're talking about like a little.
I'm gonna have one glass of
wine.
A little
Sauvignon Blanc, just a little nip. Yeah.
No, this guy he kept pouring. It was like a 32-ounce cup of whatever he was drinking, and he was just sipping on it the whole time. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. He had a rant about cosplayers.
Do your thing. Thanks for having us.
We're hanging out. Don't worry.
Okay. All right. Everybody, thanks to Ryan and Kendra. Here we go. We're taking them out. Well, that was supposed to be the end of it with the applause and everything. I don't know what it says. 27 seconds. It was supposed to be a 5-second, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I got muted and we both dropped out. It was crazy.
Yeah. But oh my gosh, dude, what do you think? Tell me. Tell me.
Great interview, man. Great. I love when we have people who are passionate about what they do, because then it ignites us to want to do more of this and then find more people who are passionate. But then it also makes us want to drive down and go check out Golden Apple. And then who knows, some of our people who listen or catch the show on the web are like, dude, I need to go check this place out. That guy was seriously cool. Him and his wife are seriously cool. We need to head down there,
Yeah.
So
then, and how they talk about, seeing celebrities in there. Yeah. If you guys go to Golden Apple, you might just see me walking down the aisle buying my comics.
No, he said celebrities.
Hey, I'm internet famous with all 5 people that watch us. All right. So leave me alone. All right. One of these days, somebody will ask me for my autograph sometime. And I don't know when, but
soon.
Mark my words.
One day soon.
One day soon. But guys, thanks to everybody that actually came on Instagram, on TikTok, on Twitch and YouTube, and for watching us and being here. Seriously, guys, if you get that chance, go down to the shop that's on Melrose in La Brea, and you'll see it says Golden Apple, big old sign out on top. Great shop, great people, great comics. They have tons of comics. Trust me, lots. And then when you're done at the shop, you can walk right over to Pink's, get yourself a hot dog, which is really good because that's what I did last time I was down there. And I got to get into the shop because I got to go pick up all my comics. I'm behind. And I just had We Can Be Heroes be all like on their live stream. Hey, Eugene, so you need to come and pick up your claims? I'm like, I know, relax. I'll be there. So, but you guys, thanks again. Project Wish Upon a Star, check them out. Golden Apple Foundation, check them out. I'm going to get a link and I'm going to put that into our bio also. So that'll be right up there along with Project Wish Upon a Star. Infinite Abilities, Desiree and her husband. Thanks for you guys, both you guys, which I never got your husband's name, but thanks for jumping on and watching us for a little bit. Yeah, dude. I mean, next week we have, I don't know where I put it, but the calendar. Next week we will have Jazz Sweet from Instagram. She's a cosplayer, and is it next week? I lost track of my days, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we've been having
posted on the gram.
Huh?
Posted on the gram. We're gonna have to make a Instagram post for the calendar of the month, just so we don't know where to find it.
I think next week's Infinite Abilities. That's who we're gonna have on next week. So we're gonna be talking to them, and then after the week after that will be Jazz, and then we have one more, and then we're out for 2 weeks. You will not hear from us. You will not see us. When we get back, we'll probably look darker because we'll probably be in the sun a lot and look like we lost a lot of weight because we probably won't be eating much.
Yeah. And MREs are not enough, so we usually skip it.
Dude, I don't even touch the MREs because what it does to me. Yeah. I don't need. Oh, David, you're gone. Oh, that freaking. His internet is so wonky tonight, guys. So with that, I guess I'm going to close this show out tonight. Again, guys, check out Kraken. Oh, wait, here he comes. Is he coming? Is he coming back? He's back. Just as I was about to give my joke about MR. Dude, right when I was about to talk about what MREs do to me, you literally dump out.
I didn't want to hear about it because I knew you were going to dump out.
That's what I was going for. But you guys remember, check out Kraken from Legendary Subs. They are a new partner. Check them out. Buy right now. Today is the last day you can buy a 6-pack that's on sale of this stuff that's going to literally just kick you in the head. Hey, so how do you feel after you drink?
Dude, I was intensely listening to everything that Ryan was saying.
I could tell.
I literally I was zoned in. You know me. Usually I'm cracking jokes. I'm interrupting with my little one-liners. But I was so intently listening, and I didn't think it was going to do that to me. Not because I didn't trust that it was going to do that, just because I have such a high threshold for supplements, medications. I just didn't think it was going to affect me, and I was just ready to go. So
there you go, guys. So if you're a gamer, if you're truly a gamer out there and looking for a supplement that's going to get you in the zone, get you focused for it, there you go. It's cracking. God, there we go. All right, guys. Anyways, enough. We got to get going. It's been a good night. We'll be back here next week, Wednesday, 7:30 ish p.m. The p.m. is right. 7:30 is the ish part.
The hour is correct. The time is correct, but the 30 is give or take.
Yeah. So you guys, again, check out Golden Apple. Go down there. Hey, when you go in there, let them know that we sent you guys, and they'll say, all right, cool, thanks.
Cool, spend money.
Yeah.
But as always, everybody, you guys know where to find us. The Geek Saga on all of our Instagram or on all of our social medias. And then the Geek Saga 77 at YouTube, the Geek Saga 20 at gmail.com. So join us again next week when the saga continues.